But I think what happened next is really like where the rubber meets the road, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't sleep for the next month, even after we made the decision that we were going to be letting our nanny go.
Yeah, you did not sleep for a good 4 weeks, and 3 of those weeks were before we told the nanny, and then after that, I think it was about like what's to come. And I think I said on our last podcast that we released that you were living our lives as if we didn't have a nanny when
I
we still
tend
had
to.
2 or 3 weeks left.
Yeah, I tend to. And I think we aligned with our heads first, like practically, financially, from the children's perspective, this makes sense.
Mhm.
But this is a human being who we've come to love and who's like really an important person in our home over the past 4 years. And aligning our hearts with our heads and with one another also took some time. And I don't want to undersell that this was a real conversation between you and me and how our relationship is going to change. And so now has changed without that third parent.
Right. And what are we at risk of if we don't start with aligning the leaders? If we're just like, okay, family decision, we're doing this. Like, do we risk resentment? Do we like what are we risking here?
All of the things,
Yeah.
right? We risk resentment, we risk anxiety and confusion,
Yeah.
we risk loneliness and isolation.
Because in the business world, the thing that I think about is like this is like I don't know, a M&A event where a company gets acquired. And so as soon as the company gets acquired, like what happens next? What the management does next is really important. But the company, the acquirees will know if the management is not aligned, like they can feel it, right? And our
Sure.
kids would certainly feel it
Yes.
if we weren't aligned and we didn't set the expectation that you and I needed to spend a lot of time talking before we involved the kids, which is exactly what we did.
And I would say that this is actually like probably the first time that we've done that. So we're learning
Yeah.
because when Jade was born, thankfully Hunter was too little to really notice. She
Yeah.
probably felt the friction, right? But we definitely, this caught us off guard,
Yeah.
right? We didn't know that everything in our house was going to break,
Moving from one child to two.
moving from one child to two.
Yeah.
And so now we've learned a bit from our past failings and
Right.
mistakes and said, you know what, we need to really align on what this means, especially for the two of us, and everything from who's taking out the trash and watering the plants to let's acknowledge that there's been very little kind of resentment opportunities for us when someone else is doing the bulk of the
Yeah.
child
True.
rearing,
Yeah.
the child load,
Right.
right?
I would say more of the resentment opportunities were around the management of the child
Yes,
management.
I think we've always held
Right.
space for them emotionally, but things like the pickup and drop off or who's cleaning their dishes, which now they are cleaning
Yeah.
their own.
No, and I'm really glad that we spent the time aligning here because like my go-to is just to like start doing. I'm not great at like communicating and forecasting or like pointing in a direction and saying, "Hey, this is what I'm going to take on." I'll just like run and like do things. And that's what I've really learned about this experience is the stop, the pause, the discussion about how we divide this. Like you did such a great job of saying, okay, like this is where I'm going to show up, and this is where I do not want to show up. You didn't say like this is where you need to show up. You were like, this is where I do not
What
want to
did I
show
say? I
up.
don't want to show up on.
Well, like things like, I do not want to do the morning drop off. And
Yes.
you didn't say you do the morning drop off. You were like, I do not want to do the morning drop off.
Yes.
Like you were like, I need that space. And same thing. What I realized yesterday with jujitsu, where I'm
True.
like, I'm looking at you and I'm like, this is not your happy place to like be
No.
doing this chauffeuring to a child's activity. Like you could use that space back. I will take that on.
Yeah. And thank you.
Yeah, totally.
Right. And so aligning ourselves as leaders first. I'm proud of us for getting that right this time.
Totally.
And I think it's an incredibly important
It's
first
a skill I'm working on in
first
the
aspect.
workplace too, to be
Yeah.
honest, like just saying, hey, we need more time to communicate or we need more time to, decide on these factors. Like we have too much process. Let's remove some, let's delete some so that we can figure out what actually matters. Like that's really what we're doing here. We don't know what 6 months from now is going to look like, and that's okay.
Right.
But we do know that you and I need to over communicate with each other, with the kids, and that starts with like making sure that our ducks are in a row before we even signal to the kids that anything's changing.
Yes, exactly. But then you also are touching upon the second one, which is naming and embracing the chaos. So accepting between the two of us and then communicating when the time is right,
Yeah.
that we are in the storming phase. And so naming out loud to the children that you outgrew the need for a manager or a nanny, right? And so you've been promoted is the best way that I could figure out to kind of show them that this is a growth opportunity.
Yeah.
Not
you see what she did there? She said, "You've been promoted to our 3 little children, and like you do not need a nanny anymore. Instead of we are getting rid of our nanny, you have to do the chores." Like that is
right, because
such
that's
a
the first
shift.
thing that I like want to say, but I don't really think that that's
Yeah.
not appropriate, right? Like that's not how I want to think about it. I really do want to think about it as a growth opportunity. This is like they are going to continue to grow, and I want to prepare the child for the path, not prepare the path for the child. Right. That is a commitment that we have. And so things like we changed the alarm code and we let the kids choose what it would be. Right? Because, well, it's a new circle of trust in the house.
Yeah.
Also, I gave Maverick a can opener and he was so excited. He's now the only child that knows how to use a can opener. But this was another idea that came to me around like giving them new skill sets and giving them different tools that they can master during this time of growth.